So this session today, we're going to be talking about what I see as two big shifts in our profession right now, in the accounting profession. Two big shifts that are taking place. One is, and it's not new, it's been for a few years now, this shift towards cloud accounting. And we've heard a lot of stories about how there's going to be increasing pressure on compliance work as we get increasing sophistication with technology, with machine learning, with artificial intelligence, and this need to think about moving up the value chain and doing more business advisory. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in this session. That's a shift that's been going on for a few years now. And then the other big shift is what's happened in the last 12 months. We've had an interesting time in the world where suddenly, thanks to lockdowns, shutdowns, pandemics, quarantines, all this sort of stuff, is that we're now running our businesses very different to where they were 12 months ago. And many people have had to spend never done before, but now having to have meetings with people, not face to face, but through tools like Microsoft Teams, through Zoom, to communicate with clients, to communicate with prospects, potential clients, and even managing our team of people more remotely than ever before. And that throws up some interesting challenges, but also some interesting opportunities for us. And that's a shift that, even though now we're starting to see that we're emerging from lockdowns and it's an exciting time, that shift isn't going to change. We're going to be, it's accelerated what was always going to happen, is that as we start to use technology more, is we will do more of our communication, more of our meetings in this kind of format. And that opens up some interesting possibilities, opportunities for us, particularly when we take those two shifts. Business advisory, how can we move up the value chain, do more valuable work, get paid higher level, and at the same time use this technology for communicating with people. When we pull those two things together, we have the interesting opportunity to start adding into our accounting firms the ability to run business clubs. And that's really what the theme of today's session is all about. We're going to be talking about those two shifts, the opportunities, and how we can start to build a new revenue stream from an online business club. Now, I know that from the comments box, there are a lot of people here who I know very well from the Value Pricing Academy. And I'm so pleased that you are here. Just to let you know, this session is something we've covered quite a bit recently. So I guess you're here for the refresher, which is awesome. And we'll be covering a lot of stuff we've done recently in the Academy. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at how we take these two shifts and tap into the opportunity. Before we dive into that, for those of you that are brand new, that perhaps don't know who I am, and I know that there are quite a few people who may be here because you came to a session I did a couple of webinars last week. And so I'm an accountant. My name is Mark Wickersham, as you probably know. I'm an accountant. I've been in the profession since 1988 and worked for a large multi-partner firm. And then I started my own accounting firm in May of 1996. Exciting times. May 96, started my own business with no clients, built it up from the ground upwards. And I thought I was doing a great job at it because I grew fast. I grew from 0 to 200 clients in a little over 2 years. But the reality was, by the end of 1998, my life was a mess. I was working crazy long hours, working so hard, and struggling to make ends meet. It was a tough time. And it all changed for me in November 1998. I went on a 3-day event in the UK, in Exeter, called the Accountants Masterclass. It was run by someone called Steve Pipe, who then became one of my mentors, my heroes, one of my closest friends. But I met Steve for the first time back in November 1998 on this 3-day Accountants Masterclass. And one of the things that we focused on in that was how we as accounting professionals can start to help our clients build more successful businesses through consulting work, through business advisory. And for me, that was really exciting because I'd come from a tax background. I had an accounting firm where I was doing mainly compliance work, tax returns, end of year financial statements, bit of payroll, bit of bookkeeping. it wasn't that exciting. The most exciting things I did was tax planning. I love tax planning, but essentially I was a compliance-based practice. I had no idea that you could start to help business owners build more successful businesses. I was young, perhaps a bit naive, and didn't realize there was an opportunity. So Steve gave me some frameworks as to how you could do that and do advisory work, do consulting work. And for me, that started a number of changes. Over the next 2 or 3 years, I did a huge amount of advisory work with clients. And it was great fun. It was fascinating because so many times when I'd done the advisory sessions, clients said, wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I'd never had that reaction from a client before for doing their tax return. They'd never said, wow, that's amazing. This has been such a good meeting. Never. But suddenly I started doing things different and making a difference to people's lives in a different way, and found that the clients loved it. Then in February of 2000, I decided that what I would do is I wanted to run a business club, which seemed a bit scary, but I started a business club because I was getting into this advisory and I wanted to help more people. So February 2000, I started a business club, and I had 15 people show up, 15 of my best clients and my best prospective clients. They turned up, and that ran for about 3 years. 3 years every single month I ran this business club, and it was one of the most successful things I did in my accounting firm. I then sold it shortly afterwards to my client managers, but while I was in the practice, that was one of the most successful and enjoyable things that I did, running a business club. It was successful because it had so many benefits. I found that when I was talking to business owners in a different way about business advisory, in a group environment, I got so many more referrals from businesses because I sometimes had a bank manager in the room. I got more referrals, more people, there were prospects in the room that then became clients, and I got advisory work. So that was kind of my background of running an accounting firm. As many of you now know, is I sold my accounting firm. I went to work with Steve Pipe. We ran AVN for a decade, just over a decade together in the UK, a network of accountants in the UK. And then in 2014, I founded the Value Pricing Academy. And what I've been doing for the last 7 years is I work with accountants, many accountants and bookkeepers, many are actually here on the session, where I help people predominantly price more effectively, get better, higher prices. But I also help with winning better clients through marketing, how to make this shift to business advisory work. And we also talk a lot about this topic that we're going to get into today. So our agenda for today's session, is we're going to look at how we can take these two shifts and capitalize on it. How we could do more advisory, make a difference to more people, how we could scale that through a business club and take advantage of technology, online meetings, and so on. I'm going to talk you through what are the big benefits of doing that. We'll look at what equipment do you need to do that, and it's really, really simple. We're going to look at things like what might be the challenges, the roadblocks, the things that we have to overcome. I'm going to look at how can we be more confident when we are in this online world, when we're communicating with clients, potential clients, and particularly if we want to scale our firms and communicate from one to one to one to many. I'll look at how we overcome that confidence. And the other thing we're going to look at, which is a common question I get, is, so Mark, if I was to run a business club, what would I talk about? What would be the content? So I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas for things that you could use as your inspiration, as topic ideas of ways to help your clients. Now, I'm also going to answer questions. We'll have a Q&A session towards the end as well. So if you have any questions at any point in time, if you have a question, then it just works like this. Put it in the comments box, but it will really help if you put a QQ in front. 2 capital Qs really helps, and a question mark at the end. That'll help the question stand out so I get to see it, because as you might be able to see in the comments box, there's a lot of comments already from people. I can see that a few more people have commented since we started, like Joshua's here. Hi, Joshua. Hope things are good with you, and I hope you're getting on with the bees as well, like Janine. I think I've mentioned Nancy already. Barry's here as well from Austin, Texas, formerly the UK. We have a lot of people from Texas today. Okay, I don't know what it is about Texas, but it seems like a lot of Texas is here. So welcome. So if you've got questions, stick them into... Oh, and Neil's here as well. It's half-term week. Neil, it's half-term week. Chill out. You deserve it. So if you've got a question, QQ at the front of the question, and I will then answer those later. We'll get on to questions. We'll probably deal with the questions all at the end. Sometimes on these live sessions, I break for questions as they come through. But I've got a lot of content to cover, and then we'll deal with the questions at the end. Having said that, of course, somebody's just come in with a question. So I'm just going to start actually, because Shalita's asked a question. And it's a great question, so much so I'm going to come back to your question, Shalita. It's about recommending starting a business club first and then exploring creating a Facebook page. So we'll come on to that question. And a few more people have just said hello. Hello to you, AAMS. I'm not sure what that is. Right, so let's start with, and one more thing is we've got a lot of content to share, to go through today. We're going to have questions. Also, though, there's going to be an opportunity for, if you're not in the Value Pricing Academy, there will be an opportunity today, just for a few hours to join. There's a reason for that. I ran some webinars last week for a couple of different organizations, and those organizations wanted the people on the webinar, that could have been you, to have the opportunity to join the Value Pricing Academy. Unfortunately, we closed enrollments 2 weeks ago, and we don't open up enrollments now until the 30th of November. So I'm closed. You can't join until the 30th of November. However, because we had a lot of people come to some webinars last week, and it may have been you, then we're gonna open up some space for a few more people. So if that's something you might be interested in, I'll tell you more about that later. Okay, let's dive into let's start with the reasons. What might be the benefits of running a online business club? And I know that might sound scary to you because perhaps you've never thought that before or never considered it, and all this technology might be overwhelming, but I'm going to keep it simple. It's not that difficult. And I'll also tell you about a bit more of my story, just to demonstrate this isn't difficult. It's not rocket science. So there's really 6 big benefits of running a business club, because traditionally as a profession, we work with clients one-to-one. We do one tax return at a time. We do one set of financial statements at a time. We work with clients one-to-one. And that's great. That's fine. But it kind of puts a ceiling, a limit on our possibilities, on what might be possible, because we can only work with one person at a time. And our big constraint is the number of hours we have. The number of hours in a week constrains how many clients we can take on and we can work with. However, if we think a little bit different, we can start to scale. Just like I did in 2000 in my accounting firm, I created a business club. That was a physical business club. We had premises, we met once a month. But now it's so much easier. It's so much easier because technology makes it easy. Not only does technology make it easy, but also your clients are now much more used to the idea of learning through online platforms, by attending webinars, by going to virtual conferences, by going to YouTube and learning stuff. We're much more used to that now. And so we can deliver our content, our message, our training, our helping our clients in that particular way. They're used to it. They're open to that as an idea. So let me talk about the opportunities, just some numbers for a minute. One of the things that you can do is just imagine this. You've got some value to share to your clients, and we'll talk about content later. And imagine that you have 10 great clients or great prospective clients come along to listen to you. And they get so much value from you sharing for perhaps 60 minutes, 90 minutes on an online session. Those 10 people get so much value, so much so that they come back next month and the month after to listen to the great things that you've got to share. And don't worry about what that might be. We'll come on to content later. And imagine those 10 people get so much value, they are willing to pay you for doing that. Well, here's the interesting thing. If you're delivering online to a group, in terms of your time resource, your energy, your effort, your resource, you're putting in the same effort whether you're talking to one person for 60 minutes or 10 people for 60 minutes or 100 people for 60 minutes? Let's just quickly look at just some numbers, because we like numbers and it just helps us to understand things at a different level. So if I just flick across to here, imagine that you find 10 clients or prospects and you do a free session for them and you deliver some value. They love it so much, and you say to them at the end of it, one of the things we're going to do, if you find this valuable, we're going to do this every single month. And we're going to launch a business club at $95, £95 a month. But because you're one of the first people, we're going to give you the opportunity to join for just $65 a month, £65 a month. Let's imagine 10 people say, yep, I would like to join your club. And then let's say that you keep it closed for the next 6 months. And then in 6 months' time, having then got it off the ground and you're finding they're getting value and you fine-tune the content, you're getting comfortable with it, you then run what I call a launch. You go to your list and say, I'm running this session where I'm going to be teaching this. And let's imagine that off the back of that, just 5 people join your club at $95 or £95 a month. And every 6 months, you just do that again. You just do a session and invite people, and 5 more people join. And if we imagine there's a little bit of churn, some people leave. If you do the math, even if you have a founder offer at $65 a month and a full offer at $95, 10 start off as founders, 5 new people every 6 months, you would find that at the end of the year, you have additional income of $10,000. By the end of year 4, you have annual recurring revenue of not far off $40,000. And that's all extra profit to your firm because there's not really any costs. The costs are really tiny, really small. But what if you play with those numbers for a bit? What if rather than $95 a month, which is not a lot for the value you could deliver, what if you decide instead that should be $195, and every 6 months, 5 people join? What if that 5 people, you get better at the marketing and you get better with the systems and actually 10 people join each time? If that's the case, you start to see that potentially 4 years from now, you could build a club with about 68 members, generating something in the region of 100, 120, 130,000 of additional revenue and additional profits. Now, is that possible? I don't know. When I launched my business club in my accounting firm in February 2000, I had 15 people show up to the very first session. But let me tell you a different story. So in June of 2014, I launched the Value Pricing Academy, and I launched that with 6 people. I had 5 paying accountants join me, and they paid me £95 and agreed to pay £95 a month. At the end of it, I didn't know where it would go, but I got so much fun out of it, and they all said that was an amazing session, Mark, and they all stayed. And so 2 months later, I ran an event to invite some more people, and in August, I had 13 people join. So I then had 13 plus 5, that's 18 people paying me just short of 100 a month. Within just over a year, that went to recurring income of about £240,000. Today, we're now into 7 figures. We're now in the Value Pricing Academy and the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy. We serve and help every single month, roughly 550 people. So, and I'm just an accountant. I've figured this out for the last 6-7 years. This is a fascinating business model where you can add huge value to a lot of people and create a big revenue stream. I'm not saying you'll achieve what I've achieved, because unlike me, you're running a busy accounting firm, a busy bookkeeping firm. But nevertheless, you could still run an effective business club with 10, 15, 20 people and start to grow that. And that can be an interesting way to add value to your clients, to help more people, and it's extremely scalable. So that's the first benefit. The first benefit is this is an interesting business model. The second benefit is it's a great way to add value, to make a difference to the lives of your clients, to help them every single month by teaching them something that's going to be really useful, helping them to run a more successful business. And we'll come on to content later, don't worry. A third benefit of doing it is when you get a group of your clients together, it's a great way of doing market research. In other words, when you meet online with your clients, then it may be that if there's 10 of them, it may be they turn on their webcams, or it may be they use the chat box, whatever. What you'll find is that in those sessions, they will ask you questions, just like some of you, like Nadeem has just asked me a question. They'll ask you questions. And that starts to tell you, and you start to learn, what are the things that your clients and prospects want to know more of. And as you start to learn from these groups of people what they want to learn more, what they find most valuable, the things that you're teaching, what they want to go deeper on, this helps you in two areas. It helps you to A, refine and develop more content for them. And secondly, that content ideas gives you ideas for your marketing, because in marketing, one of the most powerful forms of marketing is content marketing. Creating blog posts, videos on a YouTube channel, for example. When you work with a business club, you start to learn what are the issues your ideal clients are facing. And that tells you what you want to start then teaching them. A fourth benefit is when you work with a group of clients and you're teaching them some advisory stuff. It might be you teach 1 month. It may be what are the 5 keys to effective forecasting in your business. What you'll find is some of them will say to you, that's really interesting. Can you help me pull together a forecast? In other words, and what I found in my business club, in my accounting firm many years ago, when I was teaching these things, the single biggest benefit I found was having a business club where I had 15 to 20 people show up every month. And I found that was a great source of those people saying, can you help me on a one-to-one basis? And so as we built the relationships through these clubs, many of them became clients for advisory, consulting work, forecasting work, and other high-value stuff. Number 5, another benefit is one of the most powerful things that you can do in marketing if you want to win more clients. One of the most powerful things you can do is to collect stories from people whose lives you've changed, from clients that you've made a big difference to. You collect stories and you share them as case studies on your website, in your marketing. And having a business club is a great source of that, because one of the things that you can do systematically every month when you get your group of business owners together, one of the things on your agenda might be, before we get started, tell me in the chat box, what have you done since last month? What results have you had? What successes have you had? And what you'll find is people like to share their results. So you'll see every now and then you'll get comments like, well, I put in place that idea from 2 months ago, and this is the result that I've got. It's extraordinary. I've got this result. And so it gives you a source of those stories that you can then ask them, could I use that? Could I share that story? Which you can then use in your marketing. So that's the 5th benefit. And number 6, which I think is the biggest one, other than perhaps the first one, the financial opportunity. The other one, it's fun. It might not sound it if you've never done it before. I'm an introvert, and those people that know me well know I'm very introverted, and I don't like big groups and conferences and things like that. But what I learned a number of years ago was there's no link between introversion, extroversion, and being able to communicate either on a stage or on a webcam. And what I've learned over the years is that the adrenaline kicks in, the energy kicks in. And for me, the best bit of the day is many of you know, I run my live sessions at 4 p.m. Portuguese time, UK time, because it's the time that works for those of you that are in Canada, Eastern Standard Time, Pacific time. So for me, the best bit of the day is 4 o'clock. This is where all the prep I've done today, I get to now share stuff with you, and the energy kicks in and the adrenaline kicks in, and I have great fun. So there's 6 benefits for why you would want to consider starting a business club. So what do you need for doing it? And here's the great news is you don't need a lot of stuff. It's really easy. Technology is so easy these days. You've probably got the software you need because you're using it for one-to-one meetings, whether it's Zoom, for example, or whatever it might well be. If you've got Zoom, you can run Zoom meetings. And for a small investment in Zoom, you can unlock it so that you can have quite a lot of people join your monthly meetings. So Zoom is a great platform. There are many others. When I started the Value Pricing Academy back in 2014, I started with GoToMeeting. We shifted to Zoom. but there's other platforms as well. They're inexpensive, and you've probably got the platform already. So that's the first thing you need. You need to have the technology, the software for running a virtual meeting with multiple participants. The other things you need is a few bits of hardware, which you also probably have got already, because in the last year, we've had to get used to meeting with clients on a one-to-one basis through Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever. So you've probably got the equipment that you need already. You might want to upgrade it to come across with higher quality, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But let me just share with you what are really the four essential things that you need. So firstly, you need to have a microphone so people can hear you. And although you could perhaps use the onboard microphone that's on your laptop, your computer, they're not always very good quality. They're okay, but they're not great. Far better to get an external microphone, a USB microphone. When I started the Value Pricing Academy for the first 4 or 5 years, I had one of these on the screen. It's called a Snowball by Blue, a Blue Snowball. It's a USB microphone. It's about this high, sits on your desk. You plug it into the USB port, and it's extremely good quality. I've upgraded my system a few times over the last couple of years, but a Blue Snowball lasted me for many, many years as I built the Value Pricing Academy. I was running a big six-figure business with a Blue Snowball, and it was less than $100. You also need to, and the microphone, by the way, the audio quality is the most important thing. People will forgive a blurry video, but not if they can't hear you. The second thing is you have to think about lighting. Think about your lighting, and lights these days are really, really inexpensive. You might want to start with something like what's on the screen here. These are LED lights, and they're not that expensive. These are by a company called Newer, I think they're pronounced. And so, just for about 30, 40 bucks, you can get a studio light, which you just put in front of you to light your face up. You only need one. You only need one to get started. If you decide this is something you want to get more professional at and go pro, then you might upgrade to 2 lights. And then you might go for a 3-light setup, and I've now got a 4-light setup. But one's all you need to get started. You also need a camera or webcam, and there are so many options now. There are so many great webcams. There is, of course, you could use the webcam that's on your computer. They are usually the worst quality. It's worth investing in an external webcam. I ran the Value Pricing Academy for until 12 months ago. Until 12 months ago, I used what's on the screen, which is a Logitech C920. They've got quite hard to find in the last year because with the pandemic and shutdowns, everybody went out last March, April, May buying Logitech C920s. They ran out of stock and people were selling them on eBay for crazy amounts of money. I think they've stocked up again now, so you could probably get hold of one. Now, if you want to go to a pro level, I would say that the minimum entry level is to get an external good quality webcam like a Logitech C920 over and above what's on your computer, on your laptop. But if you want to go to an even higher level of quality, ultimately you could use what's called a mirrorless camera. That's what I'm using. You could use a proper professional camera. You do not need to go to that level. I ran the Value Pricing Academy up until a year ago with what you can see on the screen. It's fine. It's good enough. But if you do want to go to another level, a really inexpensive option, if you own an iPhone, which I just lost mine, it's on the floor. If you have an iPhone, you can get software now that enables you to plug your iPhone into your computer, and it then is treated like a webcam. So if you want to get more professional with Zoom videos, then you can get some very inexpensive software, a little app for your iPhone, and then just mount it on a tripod and use it as a webcam. Really, really good. I've also found that actually with the iPhone 12, the microphone's pretty good as well. You could get by with just an iPhone instead of the webcam and the mic that's on the screen. And the other piece of equipment I recommend is a tabletop tripod of about 30, 40 centimeters high. Why? Because if you get a tripod, and there's these little mounted, but these arms as well you can attach to your desk, you want something to attach your phone or your webcam to, because ideally what you want to do is put your webcam in front of your computer screen because you want to engage with your audience. You want to talk to your audience. You want to look at your audience. And the problem with having, for example, a computer and the little webcam at the top is you're looking at the computer screen like this and seeing everybody else's faces, but you're not looking at the audience because the camera's further up. So a little pro tip, what you want to do is engage with your audience by having the webcam right in your line of sight. And I always put mine right in front of the computer. Okay, let's move on to the next area. If you've got questions, put them in the chat box or the comments box, put the questions there. Please put QQ in front so I don't miss it. Gina, but I've just seen yours, so I will. In fact, I'll answer yours now, Gina. Gina Robertson said, what was the name of this webcam? If you mean the one I showed on the screen, the one in the bottom left, that's a Logitech C920. There are cheaper options and there's more expensive options, but that's the one, that's a pretty good quality webcam as webcams go. Okay, let's move on to something else. Let's talk about what might be getting in the way of you running a online business club. Because equipment shouldn't. The equipment's really, really simple. You don't need a lot of stuff. I was running the Value Pricing Academy up until 12 months ago. And this is, by then it was almost a 7-figure business. And I had what you saw on the screen. That was it. A couple of $100 on equipment. Okay, it's really, really simple. As you, at some point, as it gets more and more successful, you might want to go and step up and go to a more pro level, and I can help you with that. So what are the things that might stop you? Well, not equipment. It may be that you're thinking, well, I don't know how to do it. Well, I can help you with that, and I'm going to share with you how some of the things you need to do during this session. It's not that difficult to do. I started doing this in 2014, kind of making it up, figuring it out as I went along. And I'm not good with things like technology, but it's not difficult. It's a really simple business model. Another thing that might be putting you off is time. You might be thinking, yeah, but Mark, I'm so busy. I'm crazy busy. And I know many accountants and bookkeepers, because I work with hundreds of them, tell me they're working crazy hard, crazy long hours. And that's largely because our pricing's wrong. We need to put our pricing up. So if you are really crazy busy, then perhaps what you need to be thinking of doing is put your prices up and hope some of your clients leave. Because I'm sure you've got some clients that aren't people you love to deal with. I'm sure you've got clients that you dread those meetings because they're not fun to deal with, they're a bit grumpy, or they don't value you, they don't pay you on time. We've all got those clients. I haven't. I've got some I have lovely people in the Value Pricing Academy, but when I ran my accounting firm, I had clients that just drained my energy levels. You're better off without them. And one of the things I teach when it comes to pricing is think of it like this. If you put your prices up by 20% on average across your firm, if you were to lose 20% of clients, and I've never heard anybody tell me that, and I've been teaching this idea since I did it in 2000, if you put your price up by 20% and lost 20% of your clients, mathematically your income's the same. Makes no difference. But you've freed up a fifth of your time. You've freed up Fridays. You've freed up one day a week to plan and build a business club. So time is not an issue because you can free up the time by changing the pricing of your existing clients. And also it's about we all have the same amount of time. Everybody's got the same amount of time in a day, in a week, in a year. Time's not your issue. I've built a business club that's 7 figures. You could do it. It's down to priorities. It's not lack of time. You have all the time you need. Is it important enough? Is it important enough to do something different and build something really scalable and fun? Or do you just want to carry on doing tax returns or doing payrolls or bookkeeping? Do you want something to change? Do you want something different? Do you want something better? It's about priorities. And the last barrier, and perhaps the biggest barrier for many people about doing an online business club is fear. That fear of the unknown, that fear of, I don't think I could do that. I'm not sure I could talk to people, talk to a webcam with lots of people there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to become more confident, because that's really important. How to get more confident with doing this. Because none of us are born to speak to a camera. I wasn't. I was an introvert. I found it scary the first time. But over time it gets easier. And it also gets addictive. So one of the things that I run is called the Online Live Academy. And I know some of you are in it. And one of the things that you've been doing in that is, as part of your homework, is sharing videos. And I've had so many people in the Academy sharing posts like, this is my first time I've done a Facebook Live, and it was a bit scary, but I'm so pleased I've done it. I think it was you, was it Jessica? Yeah. Jessica from Florida, she posted something just the other day. Big celebration, a huge win, big congratulations. She'd done a few videos that she posted live into our private closed Facebook group. And she did a great job, amazing. And she said, I just want to celebrate because the other day I did my first Facebook Live to my community, to clients, and she loved it. And she's great at it. And what I know will happen is Jessica will get addicted to this, and she's going to be, and Jessica, I know you're going to build a business club because you've got what it takes. You've got everything that you need, the personality, you've got the studio, the setup, the lighting. You can do this. You've got it. And so I find it fascinating just watching the people I'm working with and teaching this stuff who are making huge progress and realizing that they can do it, that we can do it. It's just a case of stepping out of comfort zones. I know it's scary when we're in our comfort zone and we don't want to change that. And I did something. I stepped out of my comfort zone just a week ago, and I'll tell you that in a little while, what I did. And what's interesting is, I remember back in 1999, I went on an event called the 4-Day Accountants Bootcamp by Paul Dunn, another of my heroes, mentors, and a close friend. And I remember in 1999, Paul Dunn, the Accountants Bootcamp was all about getting us to work in a different way with clients. It was all about doing consulting work, advisory work, adding more value. And Paul was on this big stage. I haven't got a wide enough one, but Paul was over here on the stage. And he said, we all have this comfort zone around us that we don't like to step out of. And he says, you'll notice I've shared some ideas over these few days that's got you to go well out of your comfort zone. At this point, he walked all the way to the far side of the stage because I want to tell you to come here. And the reason for that is because he said, if this is your comfort zone, and he said, if I tell you to do something which takes you a step out of your comfort zone, what happens, we have this natural tendency to want to step back a little bit and go back to what feels safe. And yet, as he said, if I get you to try to come here, even if you take some steps backwards, you've suddenly moved out of your comfort zone. And what's interesting about comfort zones is that whilst we don't like to do it, when we do step out of our comfort zone, we effectively build a bigger comfort zone. And this is how we grow as individuals. This is how we grow over time. We become more confident by pushing the boundaries and doing things that we never thought we would do. So an example is I've been doing now webinars for quite a long time. And many people in the Academy will know that I sometimes have in my old studio, I had sat behind me some guitars because when I turned 40, I decided that I wanted to learn something new. And I have this mindset that you're never too old to learn. So I decided to, in fact, it was inspired partly by Gabby, my eldest daughter. She was getting guitar lessons. And so I asked the guitar teacher if he'd teach me. So I spent a decade learning to play the guitar. For the last couple of years, we've moved to Portugal. Life's got in the way. I've not touched them for 2 years. But several times people said, Mark, when you do a webinar, would you play a song? No way. For me, that was such a scary thought, to actually play my guitar live in front of an online virtual audience. Anyway, the other day, one person that's in the Academy, his name's John, he did a video and he got out of his comfort zone and decided to play a bit of a song before he then delivered his homework. And I watched John and thought, if he's prepared to do that, I've got to do it. So last week, I went live to my community, and some of you I know are here and will have seen it. I went live and partly to teach something, but actually I start off by playing a song I just learned 10 days earlier over the weekend. I was shaking. I was seriously shaking when I was about to hit that go live button. I was sat there And my finger was hovering, thinking, dare I or daren't I? Shall I do it or shan't I do it? Shall I do it? And I must have been 5-6 minutes went past. And then eventually I thought, oh, what's the worst that can happen? So I did it. Press the button, little whirring thing, and then suddenly Facebook says, you're live. And so I then said, I'm going to do something I've never done before. And I started playing this song. And it wasn't perfect. I made mistakes. A few things, the tricky bit I got wrong. Then I shared the content I was going to share. And at the end of it, I had this kind of buzz. And I thought, that wasn't that bad. And now I want to do it again. So those of you in my academy, be warned that I might play another little bit of guitar music at some point soon, because that's how we grow as a person. But when we step out of our comfort zones, someone once said to me, Steve Pipe said, fear. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. We often don't do things. We don't go out of our comfort zones because we have this fear, because we all think the worst thing is going to happen. And the reality is the worst thing doesn't happen. It's okay. You can do this. You can build a business club. You can talk to clients, not just one-to-one, but one-to-many online. You can do it, okay? Nobody was born to do it. We learn to do it. So here's my 3 things, my 3 tips for you to be more confident when you are talking to people in a virtual environment like this. The first of them is knowing that you're looking good. And what I mean by that is that you're confident that you've got a good enough microphone that people can hear you. You're confident that you know that they can see you, your lighting's okay. When you've got the equipment in place, the right software, I used to worry at first. I used to think, okay, what happens if the internet goes down? What happens if this goes down? What happens if... And you think of all these bad things that can happen. But if you've got the right equipment, if you've got the right stuff, occasionally stuff goes wrong. Some people might remember, I think it was about 3 months ago, I was delivering a session live. We had some workmen round. They did something and our power went. Not much you can do about that. The power went. Fortunately, just in my room, Sarah shouted out, your power's gone, you've disappeared. So I ran through to Sarah's room. We were on Zoom at the time, and I was able to sort of pick up where I left off and teach some stuff while Sarah found the work person to go and turn our power back on. And then I came back into here again. You know, stuff sometimes goes wrong, but the audience, what you'll find is your clients, your prospects, when you are delivering content to them, they will be very forgiving and very supporting of you if things do go wrong. But if you've got all the right equipment, if you've got a good microphone, good lighting and stuff, that will give you the confidence that you've got things set up right. Another thing, though, that we need to think about is, and a thing that affects our confidence, is knowing that we can deliver and communicate in a powerful way. Communication is arguably the most powerful skill that you need to have in business, in life. Yes, we have to learn how to do tax returns and bookkeeping and stuff, but ultimately the most important skill is communication. Because without communication, you don't have a business. If you can't communicate, then you can't sell. Think of when you meet with a potential client that you want to turn into a client, you are in a sales process. You're communicating. You're communicating why they should work with you. You're communicating how you can solve their problems, how you can take them to a better place. We're communicating when we're taking a prospect and turn them into a client. And so communication is so important. If we can't communicate, we don't have a business, because you aren't able to win business, win clients. We have to be able to communicate. The challenge, of course, is in the last 12 months, the world's changed. And so we have to develop new skills. Because when we had face-to-face meetings, a lot of communicate, it's natural. It's kind of what we've always done. We've talked to people face-to-face. And when we talk face-to-face, we have things like body language. We can see people's body language. We can tell when they're bored, when they're attentive, when they're listening, and we can adapt our communication style to suit the situation. But now we've been thrust into a new world. Now we have to communicate in a different way. We have to communicate by talking to a webcam when we talk to our clients and our prospects. And that means we've got to raise our game. We have to communicate in a different way, because it's too easy, for example, to talk to a prospective client or a client on a Zoom meeting. And if you're coming across and boring them, In a face-to-face meeting, you've got a captive audience. They can't really leave. But if they're on the other side of town on a webcam, they might look like they're looking at you, but they're just looking at their emails and they're checking their Facebook because they've got disengaged. So we have to up our game because it's more difficult to communicate in a virtual world than it is in the face-to-face world that we've grown up with. And so we need to figure out, how do we learn to communicate in a different way, in a better way, in an engaging way where people want to listen to you. They want to listen to you, and they then take the actions, the recommendations that you give. So communication is so important. Some of the things that we need to do is we need to make sure that when we're talking to people, and this is whether you're talking one-to-one on a client meeting with a prospect or whether you're building a business club, one of the things you have to do is bring energy. We have to bring energy. We can't get by, and I'm an accountant, and sometimes accountants, bookkeepers, sometimes we are thought of as being fairly boring. Sometimes and I think about myself, and I look at my first videos, for example, I used to speak in a monotone, in one level of voice all the time. You can get by with that in a face-to-face meeting. But when you're online, you can't, because if you come across boring, people won't listen to you. They'll switch off. They'll check their Facebook. They'll check their emails, and they won't take the action that you want them to take, which is to either become a client, to buy something, or whatever it might well be. So we have to bring energy. We have to bring energy, and there are things that we can do to get into that place, that space where we have that energy. We also have to make sure that with our voice, that we change the pitch and the pace. Somebody I learned from says you want to bring melody. The reason why people love listening to music is we love melody. And the great thing about melody as well is we learn and retain stuff better. You can probably sing songs that you heard on the radio back in the 1970s, the 1980s, and we remember all the lyrics to songs. But can you remember word for word what the client you spoke to yesterday told you? Probably not. Because that melody, that music makes what we say more memorable, more impactful. And so we want to learn to do that, because that will make you more engaging. That will make people want to listen to you, enjoy listening to you. And another thing we've got to avoid, which was a big problem of mine a few years back till I hired a speaker coach, was because I love what I do. I'm passionate, and I'm sure you are. You're passionate about what you do, whether it's bookkeeping, accounts, tax, whatever. When we're passionate, we have a tendency to talk really fast. And that passion comes, and that's great, that energy. But the problem with talking really fast is we start to trip over our worms. We meant to say words, it came out as worms. Sometimes when you talk really fast, words get missed. Sometimes the communication is a bit harder. And so what we have to do is slow down. Slow down. And when we slow down, what that then helps us to articulate the words better. And so people understand us better, they get more value, they take the actions we recommend. We want to slow down. We want to recognize that it's okay to pause. Because when you've said something really important, having a pause afterwards gives the other person the chance for their brain to digest that message you just said, that really critical point. When you start to pause, you also start to get rid of those filler words that we all hate, the the ums, the like I said, or whatever it might well be. So is a bad one that I keep dropping in that I have to get rid of. We have those filler words that we use, which serve no purpose whatsoever, and the only reason we use them is because our brains feel like we should be filling in the gaps. And we don't need to. We don't need to. Just pause. So when you learn these techniques of how to communicate, you will come across more confidence. When you know people enjoy listening to you, when you have a business club and your clients love listening to you, you will be more confident, and it will get easier and easier. And the third thing to be more confident, so we have to be comfortable that we've got the right equipment, so we come across well from a professional point of view in terms of lighting, microphone. When we've started to learn the skills to communicate at a higher level, which is critically important, we then become more confident. And the third thing is knowing that we have great content to share with our clients. And this is something that I get all the time. Mark, what would I talk to my clients about? You have so much content. We're in the accounting profession. We're knowledge workers. You have more stuff up there in your head than you realize. You have so much content. And so we're going to come on to that next. I'm going to talk about content and what could you, if you're going to do a business club, what are some of the things that you could talk about? And I'm going to give you a handful of different topics and we'll talk through some of those as to the sorts of things you could teach. And I can promise you that the stuff that I'm going to talk about, you can do this stuff. You have so much knowledge, so much content that you can share with your clients that they will get huge value. You know you have, because when you talk to people one-to-one, you're solving their problems, you're giving them advice. People come to you. Your clients love coming to you because you solve their problems. You've got the knowledge. We just have to recognize that, and I'll share with you some possible topics and content for a business club. Okay, we've got more to share, and I've got questions to answer as well. If you're enjoying this, by the way, if it's been valuable, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on YouTube, if you just hit that thumbs up, that like button, just so I know it's been valuable. Also, it'd be cool to know what's been the best thing you've learned so far. If you could just put in the comments box, what's the best thing you've learned so far? That's just great feedback for me, because when you tell me what is the best thing, then I know what to keep teaching more of and go deeper on these sessions. So tell me in the comments box, what's the best thing so far? Okay, and if you've got questions, remember, stick them in the comments box. I can see them coming through. Yvette, Nancy, just put QQ in front. We're going to come to questions in about 15, 20 minutes, I think. Okay, we're going to look at content next. Before we do that, one of the things I want to do just for a few minutes is, I know that we've got a lot of people here who are brand new, who have never heard from me before, and that's largely because I ran some webinars last week, and it may be that that's why you are here. And I know that some of you are interested in joining the Value Pricing Academy, and unfortunately we closed it 2 weeks ago. And it's closed until the November the 30th. But what we thought we'd do, which we've never done before, but if you missed our big event 2 weeks ago, we're going to open up some spots for the next 24 hours. So I just want to quickly tell you what is the Value Pricing Academy all about. And it's going to be a quick overview because there's so much to tell you about. And I want to get into the rest of this session and the content. But if you're not in the Value Pricing Academy, if you're interested in joining it, essentially what happens is you get training from me and other people that's geared towards helping you build a more successful accounting firm, whether you're an accountant or a bookkeeper. I focus primarily on helping with pricing. Because if I can help you to increase your average prices by 20%, and many people are doing that, that can increase your bottom line profit by 30, 40, 50%, depending on your cost structure. And that's very doable when you start to understand and learn value pricing. But we also teach in the Value Pricing Academy how to win better quality clients, how to do a business advisory, and we go deep on everything we're talking about today as well through the online live academy. So what do you get access to if you decide to, if you want me to work with you and help you build a more successful accounting firm? So if I just switch across for a second. So one of the things that you get access to is I have a 6-month training program that kicks off when you join called How to Build an Extraordinary Accounting Firm. It's video-based training, this is, where I teach you all the core foundations you need to have in place to be successful. The first thing I walk you through is a process for building your strategy, your marketing strategy, your pricing strategy, your overall strategy. We then look at, in month 2, we look at the foundations of value pricing, all the key things you need to have in place when it comes to value pricing. In month 3, we then talk about a value pricing system, a way to systematically price clients and prospects and get higher prices. Once you're pricing better, we then help you with marketing, because we need to get the pricing right first. But once you do that, in months 4 and 5, I teach you the marketing systems you need to have in place in your firm. You need to have a lead generation system for automatically collecting and building your list of potential clients. And then you need an appointment generation system as a way to pre-qualify, filter out, and systemize the meeting with great people. So that's the appointment generation system. That's what we teach in that training. Then we have something called Marketing Mondays, which is once a month. Once a month, we do a 90-minute session where I teach you something around marketing. That might be how to build referral systems into your business. That could be how to get more leads. It could be how to create content really easily, like blog posts. We do that once a month, and I teach you content and I'll answer questions. Once a month on a Tuesday, we have the extraordinary Teresa Slack. She runs a virtual bookkeeping business, extremely successful, multi-award winning, and Teresa's particularly strong on systems. She teaches once a month a session on systems for your accounting firm, how to systemize it. Once a month on Wednesday, we call it Foundation Wednesday, I teach the foundations of value pricing. So I teach them in that training course, in overview, but then every month we spend 90 minutes where I go deep on one of the foundations of value pricing. So by the end of a year, you really understand value pricing at a deep level. And on a Thursday, we have a live session called How To Thursday, where I then take that learning from Wednesday, and every month we look at a specific core service like how to price forecasting, bookkeeping, payroll, annual financial statements, tax returns. Each month, I walk you through the words to use, how to build up packages. I have resources for you like brochures, things that will help you communicate the value of what you do so that more people want to buy from you and price is less of an issue. So that's the core of the Value Pricing Academy. It's that core 6-month training and then live sessions with me and with Teresa. You actually get 5 live sessions every month, at least, minimum. 7 live sessions, actually, as you'll see soon. We also have some other things that we then bundle in and give you if you're a Value Pricing Academy member. So one of the things you get access to, and I can't talk about it today, but you can ask me questions if you want to find out more, is you get access to a complimentary copy of the Pro Plan of my effective pricing software, which is software that enables you to price in front of a client with confidence and get better prices. I have many people in the Academy telling me they've used this software and sometimes got double the prices, sometimes 3 times the prices what they thought they could have got using this structured system. So I give you the training and the resource, the systems to do exactly that. You also get my How to Profit from Business Advisory, which will really help with this idea of a business club. So this is a 6-month training where we go deep in how to build a business advisory solution. There's also software that comes with it to help you sell advisory. It's called Profit Diagnostic Software. I also teach as well as a 6-month program where we go really deep on how to price bookkeeping work. And then brand new this year, we started it just back in April, is the Online Live Academy. You get access to that. That's where I teach you, in the Online Live Academy, I teach you how to be more confident in front of a camera. We go into much more detail about the equipment that you need and the techniques for communicating at a higher level so that you stand out from all the other accountants and bookkeepers. You stand out as being different, as being better. When you communicate at a higher level in your one-to-one conversations, more clients will listen to you and take the action and buy more from you. More prospects will decide to work with you because they get that sense of energy and that feeling that you are different. We also teach in the Online Live Academy how you can take that newfound confidence and start to then do some videos, which is really powerful for marketing, whether it's a YouTube channel, a video on your website. I teach you everything you need to do videos for marketing, but also videos are so powerful for so many things. You could use video for your onboarding process. You could use videos as part of your internal systems to train your internal team. Video is so powerful, and we teach that in the Online Live Academy. Then at the 3rd level, we teach how to then go live, either through a webinar or even live streaming. I told some stories of other people like the wonderful Jessica who went Facebook Live to her community just the other day. And I teach you how to do that and how to love doing it. Because if you've got a Facebook group and you then start, or a Facebook page, and you do perhaps once a week a short Facebook Live, that is a great way of adding value to your audience. And it's great for marketing too, for building your list. And then what we then do in the Online Live Academy is take it to another level where we then teach as well, okay, how do we take all that confidence, that equipment, and build a business club? So that's in a nutshell, that's the Value Pricing Academy. It's shut until November the 30th. You can't join, but we're opening up for just under a day. In fact, I think if I just check out the, if I've done this right, yeah. So I think we have just under 23 hours, and then we close it down. I'm going to get my team just to put in the comments box the link to the page that you can see. And you've got until 23 hours, just under, and we will let a handful of people in to join the Value Pricing Academy if you're interested. So grab the link that my team's going to put in the chat box, grab that link and go and check out. If you go to this page, you will find there's all the information that you need. I've gone through it very, very quickly. There's so much to tell you about. I can't cover everything in the time that we've got because I've got more to teach you today. So go and click on that link, check it out. You've got 23 hours if you decide you want to join. And if you have any questions whatsoever, you can reach out to my partner, Sarah. The email address is support@wickersham.co.uk. So any questions, reach out to Sarah. Just bear in mind, it's evening here in Portugal. So she may not come back to you until the morning. Okay, so just a little bit more about the Value Pricing Academy, then we'll get on to the content for your business club. So one of the things that I teach in the Academy is I want you to get higher prices so you can increase your average fees and make more profit. But also, the theme of today, I will teach you, as part of the Academy, everything you need to run an online business club. I will teach you my model, everything that I've learned over the last 7 years. If we go back to the numbers we looked at earlier, you could build, if you wanted to, you could very easily build a business club that's generating monthly revenue of a few thousand. You could be annual revenue of 10, even 100,000 a year over time as you build up this scalable side to your firm. So if you want to join the Academy, it's a monthly investment. It's a relatively small investment. The amount depends on the country that you're in. So when you go to that page, you can see the price, whether you're in South African Rand, Canadian dollars, US dollars, UK. If you're in the UK, it's just £250 per month. Similar figure based on your currency. Check it out on the webpage. So it's a small monthly payment. Also, your price is locked in. We increase the price. It'll be more expensive in November because we keep adding value and new things, like the Online Live Academy is brand new. We never increase the price for existing members. Once you are in the Value Pricing Academy, your investment never changes. It's locked in. So today is the best time to join. You can wait till 30th of November if you want, but today will be a better deal, the best deal you'll get. Also, you're in control. What that means is that there's no minimum period. You can be a member of the Academy for as long as it's valuable. And if you want to leave, that's perfectly fine. So you can take it 1 month at a time. But I'm conscious that this has been a really short, I can't go into all the details. So we have this special guarantee. If you decide to join up in the next 22 hours, and if any time in the next 30 days it's not right for you, email Sarah and say, Sarah, this is not for me. Then she'll show you how to cancel your membership. It's really simple. It takes you about 30 seconds, and you can ask for your money back for this month, okay? So you've got nothing to lose by giving it a try. So if it sounds like something you might be interested in, click on the link, check it out, and I would recommend sign up and then make a note in your calendar for about 25 days from now to reevaluate. If the live sessions you've been to weren't valuable, that's fine. We'll give you your money back. No questions asked whatsoever. Sarah doesn't even I don't know. Sarah doesn't tell me. She just deals with that. And the last thing I'll say very quickly is, just so you know, what's coming up in June in the Academy sessions. So in the Academy, we've got on June 10, Thursday, we're going to go into this communication. We're going to go really deep on how to communicate with confidence. That's the Value Pricing Academy session on June the 10th. June 14 is Marketing Monday. I'll be teaching video, how to do video on Marketing Monday. Wednesday's session this month is how to increase your prices fast with menu pricing. I teach a framework for doing that. June the 17th, I'm going to go deep and teach you how to price forecasting work with brochures and everything you need to get great prices for doing forecasting. Teresa's doing a great session on Tuesday, June 22nd. She'll be teaching how to reprice your existing clients, how she did it, follow my structure, and got amazing price increases in her accounting firm. She's also running a session on the Wednesday on what apps are saving you tons of time. And then on Thursday, June 24th, I'll be teaching when you go live, like a webinar, for example, or a business club, how do you open with impact so you come out of the blocks really fired up, pumped up, delivering huge energy and value from the start. So they are the 7 live sessions in the Value Pricing Academy in June. What I'd like to know in the chat box is which of those 7 excites you the most? Which one of those do you really want to learn more about? Is it repricing existing clients? Is it how to price forecasting work? Is it about apps? Is it about open with impact, communication, video? I'm just interested to know what would be the most valuable and most interest to you. And I'll be reading the comments later afterwards just to find out and see what you are enjoying. Okay, let's get into content and then some questions. So content ideas. What you want to do with your business club is have a theme. So what would you teach business owners? And to a large extent, that depends on your expertise, where you are comfortable. So if you're a bookkeeper, for example, one of the things I know that bookkeepers are really good at is really switched on with some of the latest technology as part of financial systems. So if someone's on QuickBooks Online or Xero, what other systems could they have that will help them manage their cash flow, get paid quicker, pay expenses to their team? That could be the theme of your club. Your club could be a business club around how to be more productive and efficient with your business. The theme that I would suggest for most people, though, would be some form of business advisory, because that's where we, as a profession, can add huge value. And it's not that difficult to do. A lot of business advice, you're a business owner. You're a business owner, you've been in business, you've learned things from your time in business, things that have worked, things that haven't worked. And what you'll find is a lot of your clients, particularly the small business owner, they're struggling. There's things they'd love to know. And you can teach that stuff. So let me give you some ideas of some possible topics that you could teach. But don't feel that you need to. If you're starting a business club, don't feel you need to have mapped out all of your content. My advice is always do this, is this. With a business club, have 2 or 3 months of content roughly mapped out. 2 or 3 months. Why? Because you'll learn as you go along. So when I started the Value Pricing Academy June 2014 was my first session. My first pricing session was August 2014. And I have some people in the Value Pricing Academy who have been with me since way back then. Kay Westmoreland, John Johnston, Andy Hardy. And back in August 2014, even though I'd written a book on pricing, my first book had already been out, Effective Pricing for Accountants. Even though I'd written the book, I didn't feel confident that I had enough stuff around pricing I could teach every single month in, month out, and have new content. But what I learned was that by the second and third session, people asked me questions. And you remember I said to you earlier, one of the benefits is you get market research. People will tell you, they'll ask you questions. And what I realized was that they were asking me questions. And as I heard some of those questions come up over and over again, it made me think, do you know, I could go away and I could create something there. I could teach something, a framework, something I could teach around that idea. And I now have in the Value Pricing Academy over 40 different pricing topics. We teach 11 in the Foundation Wednesday sessions. I also have my 11 topics in the How To Thursday sessions. Once you've been in the Academy for 12 months, you are automatically upgraded to the Advanced Tuesday group, which I've not mentioned today, but there's some more training at a deeper level. And I have about 27, 28 different topics I teach, which I rotate over the months. I have about 40 odd topics I can teach on value pricing. I had no idea I could do that, but as I listen to my audience, my community, and figure out what their questions are, it makes me realize, well, I could do that. I could talk about that. I could go a bit deeper. And you'll do the same. As you build your business club, you'll see questions. And those questions you might be able to answer at a kind of high level, but you then might go away and think, do you know what? I can go away and I can create some more thinking around that. Or you might go and do some research. So here's some possible topics for you. If you're going to have a theme of business advisory, you could run a really powerful session called something like the 7 most important numbers every business should measure. What are those 7 numbers? It kind of doesn't matter because there are so many numbers that are important. You can pick the 7. But I teach something in the business advisory training I do called the 9 drivers of profit. And within those 9 drivers, 5 or 6 are particularly important. And so if I was teaching something called the 7 most important numbers, I would either pick the 7 most important of the 9 or 6 of them, and I might throw something else in that's a little bit different, like measuring social media numbers or something. So you could do a really powerful session on the 7 most important numbers every business should measure. Some of those will be things like gross profit margins. That's critically important. If you've done my business advisory training in the past, you'll know that we should be measuring certain numbers. Gross profit's a really good one, and particularly that ratio, gross profit percentage. So you could teach that really easily. With an hour's worth of prep, with a pen and pencil, you could come up with 7 ideas, and then you could teach that to a room full of business owners, a virtual room full of business owners. Okay, here's another one. How to design a business for success. So one of my favorite business books I read way back now in 2018 was The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, where he talks about systemizing a business. And the great thing is that accountants and bookkeepers, we are probably the most systematic people because of we have this attention to detail. We are great with systems, whether it's tax return preparation systems, audit checklists, bookkeeping's a system, the system for how we reconcile a bank account. We are very systematic. We have to be, because we've got a very detailed business with checklists. Everything has to be precise and just right. So systems is something that we're naturally good at. And so you could take something like reading the book by Michael Gerber, The E-Myth Revisited. You could read that, which you should do if you've not read it. It's an awesome book. And then you could take the ideas and you could teach them. Now, as it happens, next week, I am doing a free session, a training session called exactly How to Design a Business for Success. And so what you could do is you could come along to my session, take notes of that session, How to Design a Business for Success, take notes of the things I teach, and then those notes, what you could do is you could then teach those to your clients. Okay. One of the things I found about when I ran my business club in my accounting firm back in 2000, 2001, 2002, I started getting really into reading business books and learning about business success. And one of the things I found is every time I read a great book, like The E-Myth Revisited, that then gave me the content, the ideas for teaching. Very often I would teach things which were based on a book I'd just read. The 3 ways to grow your business. So of those 9 drivers of profit, there are a number of them about growing a business, and there's 3 in particular that are really important. It's a model that was first taught back in the 1990s by Jay Abraham. So if you're in the Value Pricing Academy, if you're doing my business advisory training, I teach the 3 ways to grow a business. You could run a 45-minute, 60-minute training session on that very easily to business owners, and it's extremely powerful stuff. In fact, I still have we're going to turn it off very soon, but on my YouTube channel, I have still got the recordings of the Business Advisory Masterclass from a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be turned off soon, but on day 2, if you go to my YouTube channel, the day 2, I talked about in there the 3 ways to grow a business. You could watch that, take notes, and then that could be a topic you teach. Here's another one. How to increase your price without losing customers. I bet your business owner clients would love to know the answer to that one. And there's so many ideas. There's so many things that you could teach in that area. So if you follow me with pricing, most of what I teach you, you could then teach your clients. So it could be how to increase price without losing customers. Could be the idea of menu pricing, for example. You could teach menu pricing under that banner headline. Here's another one. Customer service is so important. How to deliver sensational service. A lot of businesses, small businesses, have lousy customer service. You know it because you've experienced it. You've been to businesses and you think, why didn't they just ask my feedback? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? There are so many bad businesses when it comes to customer service. And yet the businesses that do amazing service, we talk about them. We tell everybody. They get more referrals. Delivering sensational service is so critically important. And this is a great one that you could deliver to your clients, because you have probably got straight away examples from your own experience of great businesses and lousy businesses. So just sharing some stories that you've picked up over the years and then sharing those with clients, and then saying to your clients, so how could you use that idea? How could you do that to give great service in your business? Another one could be how to understand the numbers, which we're all comfortable with that. We know our clients aren't very good with numbers. They don't understand them. So we could run a session where we teach them how to interpret the numbers in their financial statements. And here's another one that you could teach if you want another topic: why your business success starts with you. And what I'm talking about by there is, if we want to build a successful business, if we want a business to be successful, then one of the things Michael Gerber talks about is that business is a boring waste of time. He says the only reason for a business is it gives to give you more life. The question is, what's that more life? In other words, clients, your business owners, and you, of course, because you're a business owners should always start with, what do they want out of life? What do they want their life to look like? What are their personal goals? Because only when you've answered that question can you then start to figure out, okay, so what does my business need to look like? Where does it have to be based? What size does it have to be? What does the revenue need to be? The profits? What does the business need to look like to give me the life that I want? Many of you know that I'm now living in Portugal, and that was something I dreamed of doing for many years. And so I had to figure out, how do I build a business that enables me to work anywhere there's an internet connection? And very often you'll have lots of clients, clients that have never thought about this. And so doing a session, getting them to think about their goals and what they want out of life, and then drilling down to say, okay, how do we now build a business that does that, would be a great topic. So there's some content ideas for you. There is no shortage of things that you could teach when you run a business club. It's really, really easy. And the great thing is that you need to keep learning things to build a more successful accounting business or a great bookkeeping business. And one of the things my friend Steve Pipe said to me once, he said, one of the great things about a profession is the concept of duality. And what he meant by that is that when we go and learn something, so those of you in the Value Pricing Academy, when I teach you something in Marketing Mondays, like my blog creation system the other month, then that's actually something that's equally applicable to your clients. So the great thing is, as you learn things to build a more successful accounting firm, you can start to do that learning with your mind in two different ways. How can I take this idea to improve my accounting firm? How can I take this idea to help my clients? So every time you learn something, you're now learning at two levels. How it helps you, but how you could then teach your clients that same thing through a business club and start to change their lives. Right, we're going to move on to questions now. And so if you just give me a few seconds just while I scroll up, because I think the comments went completely mad earlier. So remember, if you've got a question, put QQ in the front. I'm just madly scrolling through because Shalita was the first person. So Shalita Hall said, what did she say? Shalita said, do you recommend starting a business club first, then explore creating a Facebook page, or doing both at the same time? Okay, so Shalita, I think, she's in the academy, and one of the things I've talked about is the power of using social media for marketing, having a Facebook group, a Facebook page. I would do both at the same time. I would do both because they're different, and I'm not sure whether you mean a Facebook page or a Facebook group actually. Because if I was building a business club, I would also have a Facebook group for the people in the business club, to create a place for them to hang out, a sense of community. One of the things people like is we like to be part of a club. We like to feel we're part of something, that we can network and reach out to other people. Being in business can be lonely, particularly if you're a sole practitioner, because we have challenges all the time and we have no one to talk to. So being in a club, like the Value Pricing Academy, we have a club. We have a Facebook group that's just for Value Pricing Academy members, where you can share and learn from each other. In the same way, doing that for your clients, creating a community is a really powerful and valuable part of having a business club. I hope that helps, Shalita. I wasn't sure if I answered the question right, so I apologize if I got that slightly wrong, but you can always come back to me. Okay, let me move on to the next QQ I can see. And I can see that Rosie is brand new, so welcome, Rosie. Nadim, that's it. Nadim said, shall we be offering it free first, then charge, or shall we charge from day one? I guess you may want to get established first. What do you think? Nadim, that's a really, really good question. And you're in the academy, so we will go deeper on this. I will teach my process. But my advice would be make at least the first session for free. So do a really powerful session where you deliver value and then you make an offer to them. Okay, I call it the launch. So I'll use that. A launch is where you launch something, you launch the club or you open up some more spaces. Do it with something that's free and you want to deliver huge value first. So when we did, as some of you know, we did the Business Advisory Masterclass 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we opened up places for the Value Pricing Academy. That was a 3-day session. I spent almost 9 hours of training. Most of that was content and answering questions, delivering value, because you want to deliver value first. And when you deliver great value, then people will want to get more of that. So do something for free, Nadine, first. But I would then get them paying fairly quickly. But so I wouldn't do it for free for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, because they'll get in the habit to realizing that there's always free advice. Do a free session, highly valuable, some of your best content in the free session. And then what you do when you're starting your club for the first time, do a special founder offer, a price that is a great price for them that will be the best price ever. Okay, hope that helps, Nadim. We will go deeper on that when we get into some of the online live academy sessions. Joshua says, should we limit enrollment to 2 times or 4 times a year? Okay, Joshua, you're in the academy as well, so we will go deeper on this. But when I started the Value Pricing Academy in 2014, I would let people join at any point in time. And so I had a fairly random process of every now and then when I wanted to, I'd run a webinar and then invite people in. And sometimes I'd run 1 or 2 in a month. Sometimes I might have a month or 2 off. It was fairly random and sporadic. Then we changed the model to say, and there's a technical name is to have a closed membership. That means that people can't join at any time. Instead, you close it. And that's what we do. We close it for 6 months at a time, and then we open up for a week. The advantage of doing that is a number of advantages. One is you are doing all of your promotion marketing effort for a particular launch event, and it gets really busy for a week. So when we run the Business Advisory Masterclass, that's a crazy busy week. I'm working in 3 sessions back to back, 9 hours of training almost on my feet on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. At the end of it, we're exhausted. But it then means we have the next 5 months to focus on our members, adding more value. We focus on the members. That's one of the big advantages of having it closed. You really focus with laser focus on your marketing promotion for a few weeks, and then you focus on your customers. And so going back to your question, Joshua, should we limit it to 2 times a year or 4 times a year? Well, firstly, you could always keep it like my original model of open if you want to start with. But I would recommend you go with closed. Whether you go 2 or 4 times a year is entirely up to you. We do it twice a year. We did enrollment a few weeks back and again on the 30th of November. You might want to start with 4. Do 4 promotions a year. And then as it gets some traction, you might then drop it to 2. Okay, next question, which I think is from Joshua again. How do we provide enough value that the clients are satisfied to stay a member, but we don't give away all insights that keep us from being able to upsell? How do we provide enough value? Okay. Upselling, I don't know what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by upselling. If you mean that they won't buy your advisory services or your forecasting service, they will, because your business club is working one-to-many. You're going to find a lot of those clients are getting so much great advice. They then want you to help them one-to-one. And so the one-to-one's a different service. So there's always going to be a deeper level of working with people when you do that one-to-one work. So you're not losing the opportunity of doing advisory work, forecasting work, consulting, tax planning. You'll actually increase the demand for that off the back of your training sessions. Because your training sessions are going to be not one-to-one, but one-to-many. So you can only be generic with the things you teach. You can't deal with people's specific issues. But also in terms of, you'll never run out of value, because one of the things I learned as well is that when you create a club, a community, the value that you're creating is not only from the teaching that you're giving. A lot of the value comes from being part of a community. The ability to, when people are in a community, they get to know each other. So in the Value Pricing Academy, a lot of people now reach out to each other and they share ideas. We have something in the Academy called study groups, where we facilitate getting people together to network and share ideas with each other. We create that sense of community. And so some of the value, it doesn't all come from me. Some of the value comes from being able to get ideas and work with other people in that community. Okay, let's move on to Yvette's question. Yvette says, long one here, so bear with me a second. Last meeting you mentioned briefly something about purchasing effective pricing software license to share with clients if we'd like to set up a pricing model template for them. Is this the only way to give them access to the templates I set up for them? If so, what is the cost? Yvette, I'm going to give you a quick answer because it's a bit off topic, but what I would suggest to you, Yvette, is if you copy and paste what you've put and put it into, you're on my Facebook page right now, but if you put it into the Facebook group, if you copy and paste into the Facebook group, I'll do a more detailed answer because it's probably quite a longer answer that you want. So let me just read it again. What Yvette's talking about is, I have this effective pricing software so you can price your services, but you can also use it and set up pricing models for your clients. Essentially, the way that works, Yvette, is you buy a copy of the software for the client. It's a bit like wholesale billing with QuickBooks Online, for example. You buy the software and you're the admin person, and you then you add the client as a normal user with their email address. So they can access the software, do prices and all sorts, but don't make them an admin, because the admin can then upgrade, downgrade the account, and it'll be your credit card details in there. So you're the master user, it's your account, you're in control of it, and then you charge the client a fee in the way that we talked about the other day, Yvette. So one of the things that people who are doing this, what they do is they have within their firm a number of different email addresses for clients. I think someone does this someone told me they do it for QBO, I think, when they do the wholesale billing. So if your practice was, if your email address was yvette@carlton.com, you might then set up, if you've got a client called Fred, you might set up fred@carlton.com, and then you buy a copy of software using fred@carlton.com. But of course, it's your domain name, so the emails come to you. You're the master user still. And then you put in the client's email address as just a normal user. And then you set everything up for them. And you charge a fee for doing that. And you should charge a big fee for doing that because it's extremely valuable stuff. Okay, I'm going to move on because if you want some more detail on that, Yvette, ask in the Facebook group and I will happily do a little video for you and go into a little bit more detail. Michelle Campbell said, how do you put the webcam in the line of sight? I have the Logitech on top of the computer. I might have answered that. You want to mount it on a tripod, and you then put it so the webcam's in the middle of your screen. Now I'm using a camera, not a webcam, and I've got a very different setup here. But when I used to use, if I was doing a Zoom meeting, for example, I'd have my computer, I'd have Zoom in front of me, and then what happens is when you might have lots of things on your desktop, but part of the Zoom, you'll see you and the client's webcam images. And what happens is your eye is drawn to the webcam images of either of you speaking or next to it, the client you're speaking to. Your eye's naturally drawn there. And so what you do is you place your webcam in front. So you actually can't see you or the client properly because they're just a little bit behind. That trains your brain to look at the webcam and then it's more engaging, because it's okay to look away every now and then. Sometimes I'll look away because I'm doing something else. And when you're having a conversation with somebody, we don't stare at them in the eye. We sometimes, when we're just thinking, we just look away for a bit. So it's okay when you are talking and communicating with somebody via a webcam to look at something else on the screen every now and then. But you really lose engagement if you're having this conversation and you just look at, and you're never looking at your webcam. If I was talking here, you would feel like it's a bit weird. Mark's not talking to me. So we have to train our brain to just look at the webcam. Hope that one helps, Michelle. Okay, let's move on to what's the next question I can see. A's, is that pronounced right? A's. Is there a way for a team to control the live remotely? Do I need a prompter so I won't need to memorize a lot of stuff and have a guide? How about branding? How do I brand my live? Okay, there are lots of questions there. I'm not sure I'll get through all of them because there were so many questions. So what I do is I do have my team, Emily and Sarah, helping out. So because we're not using Zoom, we're using for this YouTube and Facebook, but nevertheless, they're typing in on my behalf things like they're typing in stuff into the chat box, either the links I'm sharing or answering some of the questions. So it's a good idea if we're on Zoom, same thing. If we have a Zoom session, I have somebody else. It's usually Sarah and or Emily or both, and they're just monitoring the chat box, monitoring the Q&A box. If I'm using Zoom, I tend to get people to use the Q&A box for questions for me, but the chat box for general chat. And so if someone's having a technical issue, oh, the sound's going, then Sarah will just say, oh, try logging in, try logging back out again. So it's a good idea to have someone to support you. It's not essential. You could do it yourself, but it's nice to have that backup. Do I need a prompter so I won't need to memorize a lot of stuff and have a guide? Well, of course, you can have slides and have slides on a screen. With Zoom, you can have screen sharing, and so you can have slides and have prompts. However, you get much more engagement if you're using your webcam. And even if you are using slides, you want to have picture in picture. You want to be on the screen, because people lose interest if you've got a static slide that doesn't change for 60 seconds, 2 minutes. What else was there? There are ways. Well, I don't know whether you're in the academy or joining the academy, but I'll talk about all sorts of techniques that I've learned over the years for how to memorize stuff, how to be confident with your content. I do have some various props around me, which you can't quite see. Most of what I've delivered is just because I've developed this technique of being able to talk without slides, without prompts. But I do have prompts in various places that I can refer to if I need to. Okay. And Ace also says, about branding, how do I brand my live? It depends on the technology that you're using. So if you were using Zoom, for example, you can't brand Zoom, but if you're using Zoom with screen share and you're going through PowerPoint slides, you can brand the PowerPoint slides. If you want to get more professional, there is amazing technology that you can do all sorts of things. I can't do it now because I wasn't prepared for the question, but I could have my logo just here very easily, in the same way that you've seen some other things as well. There's all sorts of things in this day and age, particularly in the last 12 months, since lockdown, since the world's changed. The technology, the things that we can do now on virtual meetings is extraordinary. Okay, let's move on to Jodie Roberts. Jodie says, biggest stumbling block is what content to write, teach. I'm hoping I've covered that, Jodie. I'm a zero accountant and thinking of content around that, but lots of content out there. Yeah, I'm hoping I've given you some ideas. You only need to have 2 or 3 topics in mind, because you will find you'll get ideas from your clients. You might do a session and you might say at the end of it to them, what's the best thing that you've learned? And also tell me, what would you like to learn next time? Where can we perhaps go deeper? And they'll tell you, they'll say, well, I love that idea. Could you go deeper on that thing? And you almost certainly can. You might need to do a little bit of research, but you could go deeper on that idea. It might be that I teach, my first session might be the 7 key numbers you need to measure in your business. And what I get feedback saying that people say, that fourth one there, I could do with understanding that a bit more. I could do a whole session around that particular measure. How do we measure it? How do we interpret it? How do we benchmark it? So you'll get your ideas for content will come from your audience. And the great thing about listening to your audience and getting ideas for content is that you are then delivering content that they want. Okay. Thank you, Philip, for that comment. Let's see what else we've got. Nancy, do you have tips to get your audience more engaged? Nancy, you're in the academy, so we're going to do lots of stuff around getting the audience engaged. But yes, there are many things that you can do. So if you want to create engagement with people, the way that you communicate is really important, but also things like, and the technology makes this easy. I don't do this very often. I need to do more of it, but doing things like polls is really good. Polls is great for, particularly if it means they can benchmark something a little bit. So, for example, sometimes I do a poll where I might say, if you're setting up a client with QBO or Zero, what price would you charge? And then other people in the group can get to see where they are on that scale. So polls can be really good. Q&A sessions can be really good. Another way to get engagement is, so I have hundreds of people show up, so I can't do this as much. But in the early days, when I had 6 for my first session, what I used to do was I'd get people to put their webcams on. So you might start off, if you've got a small group of 10 people, they could put their webcams on, either all of them or one at a time. And then you could do things like all sorts of interesting ideas, like hot seat sessions, which is great for keeping engaged and content. That might be where you invite one person to put their webcam on and explain for 60 seconds what's their biggest problem in their business right now. And then the other people in the club chip in with ideas. You may have some ideas, which would be great, but you don't have to, because other people will have had that situation themselves. One of the things I learned from my business club back in 2000, 2001, when I ran my accounting firm. See, now I only work with accountants and bookkeepers, but back then I had in my business club, I had a graphic designer, I had electrical contractors, I had a couple of manufacturers, I had a chartered surveyor. And what I did is I would teach for 45 minutes a topic, and then for the second 45 minutes, we just had an open session where I said, right, what challenges have you got? And then someone would give a challenge, and then I'd say to the rest of the group, who's got any thoughts on that? And what was fascinating was, even though I had that huge wide range of people from manufacturers, electrical contractors, from chartered surveyors, graphic designers, even though there was a huge range of different clients, they all had similar problems in business, similar challenges. And what I found was that every challenge somebody had, somebody else in the group had had that challenge in the past and figured out an answer. And so what happens is, and it goes back to the point about a sense of community. One of the nice things about running a business club is people get access to that community, not just you. They get huge value from the networking and the helping each other. And you're the hero because you've created that. You don't have to deliver all the value, but you are the person that's created it. I don't know if that answers the question or not. Nancy's question about engagement. Nancy, let's go into that in more detail in one of the next online live academy sessions. I've definitely got some stuff planned for that. Yvette, what are some of the things you do to bring high energy without talking too fast? That's a great question. Okay, so it's kind of a bit of two things. We have to train ourselves to talk slower. And I still sometimes get carried away and speed up. I can't help myself. I speed up. And it's something that I teach a lot in the online academy. I teach all these different techniques. But what I teach is that every time you do a video, I want you to focus on one or two of the ideas. And so you might think, right, in this session today, I'll have a little post-it note, a sticky note to say, slow down. Slow down. And what will happen is, the first time you need a reminder. In this session, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to talk slower. Once you've done that, next time you will start sometimes you'll speed up again. I sometimes speed up, but you'll start to slow down. So then what you might do is work on another technique, another tip that I teach. You might, for example, decide to have more pauses. So we work on the little techniques one at a time. So the question, I've got so, my filler word, I must get rid of so. What are some of the things you do to bring high energy without talking too fast? So we work on slowing ourselves down, but slowing down doesn't mean we have to get rid of the energy. And one of the things that we can do is get ourselves into the right state before we go live. So I used to learn this when I got speaker training, some of you may know I've been at a big conference on stages. I've spoken at Scale Heights in front of 1,000 people, and I love those events. And when I'm backstage before I go on, I'm doing all sorts of exercises to get pumped up, to get ready for when I hit the stage with energy. Some of you might have noticed when the countdown music plays, for some of it, I have a little see-through thing where you can see me, and I have music playing because I'm getting in the zone. Part of the reason for the countdown music is I use that time to get pumped up, to get in the energy, to get ready for the start. Okay, so I hope that helps, Yvette. Right, let's move on to lots of comments. I'm going to read the comments later, and my team will be checking them out as well. So thank you for all the nice comments you've said. But let me get on to questions because I'm conscious of time now. I'm happy to keep going to answer as many questions as I can. I will speed up though. Nadeem says, will our content be recurring like a syllabus, like yourself? Will the members get a little bored in that we've seen that before? What would you advise? Fascinating question, Nadeem. And I know you're in the academy already, so we're going to go really deep on content and curriculums. But my advice is do not have a really structured curriculum, at least to start with. You want to keep it fluid. You want to listen to feedback and adapt the content to meet their needs. You also don't want the content to be month 1, month 2, month 3, because if you're going to let people join in month 4 and they've missed the first 4 months, you want month 4's content to stand alone and be and make sense for people who join at that point in time. And then the month 3, 2, and 1 they've missed, you can then repeat in the future. And the other aspect you said, Nadeem, will they get bored if they hear the same stuff? Interestingly, I know there's loads of people here who were with me last week when we did a similar set, not the same, but a similar session in the Online Live Academy. And I sometimes feel kind of awkward. I saw David Colts here. David almost never misses a session. And sometimes I think, he keeps coming back, and I've done this before, this topic. I've done it before 3 or 4 times, but David keeps coming back. And what I kind of learned and realized is, and I learned this from my business club years ago, because I had that occasionally where I taught a topic that was similar to one 2 months earlier. And I asked people, I said, you've heard this one before. And what people told me is, yes, but when I hear it a second time, when I hear the content a second time, I'm in a different place. When I was hearing it from the first time, it was all new to me. I couldn't take it all on board. When I hear it for the second time, perhaps some of it I'm already doing, but I hear it in a different way. There's different nuances. And when I think about it, I have people that I learn from. Brendan Burchard, for example, is one of my heroes. I watch him over and over again. I've watched his content over and over. And while watching, I think, well, why am I doing this? But there's always something I take away. Okay, let me move on to another question. Sue Jackson. Hi, Sue. How much upfront online content do you recommend we create before we launch our online? I think I've covered that, Sue. You don't need to create lots of content to start with. Okay, you don't need to create content. And I was telling people a week ago in the Online Live Academy, when I launched that in April, I had no content, okay, 0 content, because I'm reacting to what people tell me they want to learn. I have loads of stuff to teach, loads of stuff, but I'm fluid. I'm listening to what people want. So who said earlier, I'm thinking of a question from earlier, someone said something about how do you bring the energy and also slow down. I'll probably do a session on that in more detail. because now I know someone wants to learn that, it'll be a future topic. So let's, I'm looking for the, if you didn't put a QQ in front, by the way, I probably will miss your question, so I apologize, but there's so many comments in the chat box. Wendy Willis says best blog system. I'm not sure what you mean by that. When I teach that in Marketing Mondays, I teach about your own internal system, your process for how to create blog posts fast. It's not an external piece of software. It's just your internal system for writing content, creating it, getting it out there. So I taught that in Marketing Mondays a little while ago, and we'll teach it again sometime in the future, because content marketing is so powerful, and we absolutely should be doing that as part of our marketing. Right, next question is Dell Fleming. Dell says, this appears to be orientated towards bookkeepers. I only do business advisory services. How much of this program really applies to my firm? That's interesting, Dell, because I'd have actually said it's the opposite way round. I'm an accountant, so I would guess that most people in the Value Pricing Academy are CPAs, accountants, but I have a lot of bookkeepers too. I have a different academy for bookkeepers called the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy, where we only look at bookkeeping. But in the Value Price Academy, we look at a lot of other stuff, like How To Thursdays. We look at how to price tax returns, how to price annual financial statements, and business advisory is a big thing. So if you need some more help on that, Dell, reach out to my team, support at, and Sarah will help you out and with that. Shalita said, I would like to use Zoom to go live, but unable to find the option in Zoom to do so. Can you provide instructions on how to go live via Zoom? Shalita, yes, I can. Basically, I can't do it now because I haven't got it open, but when you are in Zoom, you have a menu bar. Usually it's underneath where the webcams are, and at the far right is usually 3 dots. 3 dots stands for other menu items they couldn't cram into the space, and when you click on the 3 dots, you should see Go Live, and you can go live to Facebook Workspaces, and YouTube, I think, are the ones that you can do. So hopefully you can find it, Shalita. If you can't, I think you're in the academy, let me know, and I'll see if I can do a video for you with some screen grabs. I'll see if I can do it, grab some screenshots and show you how to do it. Just a little tip for anybody who has a Facebook group. If you have a Facebook group where your clients hang out and you want to live stream into that Facebook group from, for example, Zoom, you absolutely can do that. But if you want to stream into a Facebook group with Zoom, you have to go into your Facebook group, and in the settings, right at the bottom, there's a setting for apps, and you have to give Facebook permission. It's really, really simple to do, but you have to give Facebook permission to let other apps do the live streaming for you. It's not a problem if you use your phone or use Facebook, but if you want to use Zoom to go live into your Facebook group, you just have to it's a quick setting in your group. If you're in the academy, I can teach you that sometime and show you how you do it. It's the same, I think, if you want to live stream into your Facebook group through Ecamm, StreamYard, Restream, whatever systems you might use. Susan Davidson says, Mark, when you set up your business club, did you brand it differently from your practice? I'm trying to remember. No, I didn't. No, I kept the practice brand. So I don't think you need to, but I guess it depends on your brand. If you're a bookkeeper and your branding is very much around compliance work, then I guess you might, and you want to do advisory work and do something different, then you might want to set up a separate brand, perhaps, is one thing you might want to do. But another thing, when it comes to branding, and this is more for you if you're a small accounting firm or bookkeeping firm, it wouldn't be the case for KPMG, but the most powerful thing that you've got is you. I think this is a great time to be a small accounting firm rather than a big firm, because people buy from people they like, and so you can stand out and be different from the larger firms because of you, because of people get access to you. And so when you think about when you think about brands, the best brand that you can use is you, the brand of you. Build your business club around you as an individual, as a personality. Get across your passion, your enthusiasm, your expertise. So that's just a thought for you, Susan, with branding. Okay, let's move on. Look for David. Oh, this could be the last one. I think it's the last one. David says, Outside of increased number of members to your business, what other benchmark metrics do you use to evaluate the success of your business club? That's an interesting question. No one's asked me that. I don't know if you're talking about my business club or actually more, your own business club if you set one up. So certainly number of members is an important metric. Another important metric, because when you have a business club, it's a subscription business. People are paying you a subscription. And with a subscription business, there are a number of metrics that are really important. So one of those is MRR. MRR stands for monthly recurring revenue. Another one is ARR, which is annual recurring revenue. You know the difference, one's annual, one's monthly. So when you have a business club, you'll definitely want to measure MRR and or ARR, monthly and annual recurring revenue. But another one that's really important is churn. Because you'll always find any subscription business, whether you're a magazine subscription, a business club, a software company, with any subscription business, people do leave. It's a fact of life. It's called churn. And so you want to measure that because if it starts growing, you want to find out why. And what can you do? Why are people leaving? What can you do? Is it because they are not getting enough new value? Is the content not new? Interestingly, and this is going to sound strange, but interestingly, one of the, and possibly the single biggest reason why people leave a business club, a membership, the biggest reason is because of too much content, which sounds strange. But what happens is when you have too much content, then people feel overwhelmed, don't know where to start. And so you don't need a huge amount of content because that creates its own set of problems. It's a problem I always have because I have a huge amount of content. And so I have to build in systems to help people get through and navigate and find the things that are most important. So there's a lot of things that we do for doing that. Okay, I hope that one helped, David. I think actually Cindy had a question, just no QQs. How many sessions per month would you suggest we run for the Business Advisory Club? Cindy, I recommend one. I recommend one. When I started the business in 2014, I had, I think at one point, 8 business clubs going. And there were some reasons for that, one of which is crazily, stupidly, I had my Zoom account, had a maximum of 20 people in for a Zoom meeting. I was doing Zoom meetings in 2014, 2015, and I thought the limit was 20 people. And then I realized there was an upgrade to 100 people in a meeting. And so I realized, I could do 100 at a time. But so as I was growing, as I got to 20, I'd form a new club. And so I found I was working some pretty hard weeks running multiple sessions. And I don't recommend you do that. I would recommend you do one session. Now you might get to a stage 2 or 3 years down the line where you've got so much content, you want to deliver to them, like I do, multiple sessions so they can choose the content. So I have Marketing Mondays, I have Advanced Tuesday, I have Foundation Wednesday, I have the How-To Thursday. So I do 4 back-to-back sessions, 1 week a month on those particular topics because I have so much content now. And it means that members, you get a choice. You can come to the ones that you want. So that's why I do that. But you shouldn't do that when you start out. Keep it to 1 session a month until you've built it up. If you get to the stage where you've built it up and you've got 50 or 100 members and lots of content you've been doing for 2 or 3 years, you might then want to look at having multiple sessions. But don't make life hard for yourself. Keep it nice and simple. You're running a busy accounting firm, so this wants to be something that doesn't consume too much time. You can build a very successful business club with 1 session a month. Okay, I think that's all the questions. So I'm going to thank you so much for coming along. Thank you for all the questions. If I did miss a question because there wasn't a QQ, I apologize. But my team are watching out for all the comments. If you enjoyed it, just click that thumbs up just so I know you've enjoyed it. I'm going to play out with some music as I normally do. And so you've got a chance to put some more comments in there. And if you want to join the Value Pricing Academy, if you're not in it yet, then you've got 22 hours to click on that link. Any questions, reach out to Sarah, support@wickersham.co.uk, and she will answer your questions within the next 22 hours. Just bear in mind, it's now evening time, so we're going to now take some time out. It's the evening. Linda says, Linda says, one of your best sessions ever. Thank you for that feedback, Linda. Thank you, Nadim. Thank you, Karen. Okay, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you online again soon.
I wasted all my time, I wasted all my nights, I wasted it on someone who's indifferent. He didn't love me right, he told me I was blind, but I never really wanted to listen.